going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 7 of podcast. I'm going to be joined today by Carlos, founder and CEO of efRouting, as well as Gino, the sales executive of efRouting. Let's jump into it. What's going on, guys?
Hey, what's up, Alex?
How you doing?
How you guys doing? How's everything?
Hanging
Good.
in there.
Yeah.
Living the dream.
Looks like some nice weather behind you guys, man.
Yeah. Yep. Sunny South Florida. Can't go
Sunny
better.
South Florida, man. Love to hear it. Let's get right into it. I mean, how did you guys get into logistics? Where was your start?
Okay, so I have a special connection with this industry because my family, when I was a kid, they were in that business for a long time. Basically, this industry paid for my education. I was also fascinated about science, so I became a scientist. I became first an engineer, and later I came to the U.S., where I did my PhD studies. I'm from Colombia, by the way. And then during that time, in my PhD studies, I was working in a scientific problem, which is related with the routing of vehicles, but in particular for trucks. And then after I was done with my PhD, I had the feeling that I really wanted to make a difference. So I went back to the trucking industry, but in this time, I came back providing a solution for routing the vehicles and help
So your family was in the logistics industry in Colombia
in Colombia, but also here in the U.S. because
and also there.
in the
Yeah, so
last
you had like
last
a special reason connection to the industry to want to be a part of it.
exactly. And then later, so Gino was my roommate.
Yeah. So I just
When
got kind of roped in.
yeah,
I didn't have much of a
you-
background, but
If you guys can
Yeah.
move the mic a little to the right, Gina's a little quiet.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Does that sound better?
There we go. Yeah, that's much
Okay.
better.
Perfect.
So how did
Yeah,
you
so-
guys meet? Let's segue into that. Where did you guys meet?
so
Facebook.
tell him the story.
Yeah. So we were both looking for a room in the town where the university was, and we both didn't live there. He was coming from Colombia. I was coming from Southern California. And there was no real way for us to like go to the town and look for a place because it was so competitive. So you just had to go on Facebook and say, hey, I'm a student, I'm starting, does anybody have a room available? And we both did that. And a couple that had a 3-bedroom both messaged us individually. We met with them over Skype calls individually. So I never talked to this guy, but I signed a lease with him because I agreed to sign a lease with this couple. And so then the day we met was the day we moved into a 1-year lease. And
Nice.
it just all
So
worked out
you guys
really well.
basically became roommates, man, and it just blossomed from
Yeah.
there.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we were roommates, and then when we started with this idea of routing, so I was aware about an outstanding ability that Gino has, which is connecting with people. And then it was really easy for him to connect with carriers and truckers and say like, we really need to work with this guy. So
Yeah.
he became part of the team also.
So Gino, how did you get into logistics? Where was was Carlos your introduction, or?
Yeah, basically, because I was working. So I was going to that school for a completely different thing. I was studying winemaking and viticulture. So I was in farming, and I was working the past few years just farming grapes for wine and helping a winemaker in his cellar. And then, yeah, when they said, hey, we're starting this business and like you need to learn all about it and help us sell it, I just started learning. So I've been basically talking to people and understanding more every day. But yeah, it's a newer thing for me.
Newer experience, eh?
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. I seem to have lost track of all of our questions here. So basically, Gino started the company, and you guys met because you were roommates. And then Carlos was like, hey, I got this perfect, guy to do kind of the sales for us. And that's where it kind of all started for you guys.
Exactly. Yep.
And you used to be a winemaker previously. So that's the first. I never heard that one before.
Yeah. So I guess honestly, my background in logistics is just receiving. I would get semi-trailers full of barrels or other products to the winery, and that was my only real like dealing.
Yeah, that's actually funny because we interviewed a shipper a while back, and she ships like oak barrels for whiskey, and I was like,
Oh,
this
yeah.
is the second time now I'm hearing about logistics for alcohol production.
Yeah,
But
it's a funny
I
way
mean,
they pack those trucks because those things are super heavy and they have to be all
yeah, it's like
really.
specialized freight. It's not as simple as just slapping a couple of pallets in and walking away.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's jump into load boards. I mean, we got it written down here. What's wrong with them? I mean, I'll start. Obviously, fraud is a huge topic these days with the main load boards. And truckers, why are they not making money with the available loads? Again, we can get into supply and demand. Too many trucks, not enough loads. But I mean, if you guys want to break it down a little, what do you guys think is currently wrong with load boards?
Okay, I think there is a lack of alignment between what the actual carrier needs and what's providing on a load board. So first of all, we have to understand that any carrier, they need to run on a profitable operation. That's key, right?
Yeah, that's it. Like
Then
that's that's the main point
that's
of
the
load
main,
board.
and looks straightforward, but it's not, right?
It's not.
So how they do that? They need to book good loads, right? So the way that they do it today is that they go to load boards. If we are talking about the for hire market, right? And then the load boards, their approach to help to improve profitability is low visibility. So I put a lot of loads inside my platform, more and more and more and more. And then by any chance, one of those loads is going to be a good match for your truck, right?
Yeah.
So that helps reducing the probability that you are going to have on a truck just sitting there. So downtime is reduced. And then if you keep that cycle, right, you more loads, less downtime, you might at some point improve profitability. I think something is different. Something have to be done different, and that's what is
Yeah, no, I
actually.
mean, I think that's the sentence of the past 2.5 years is that something does have to be done different because we're just at a race to the bottom. And every single time I get on this show or I have a conversation in this industry, I always say, well, I think we've reached the bottom of this market. And every single week, the market proves that I'm wrong. And I feel like it's like every Monday, I feel like we're 7% worse than the previous Monday in the spot market. So I think the sentence that'll echo for God knows how much longer is that something does need to be done differently with load boards, with this industry. Most people would preach that you need, I mean, this is a huge hot button thing on LinkedIn. You need to have direct shippers, direct customers. I think it's an easy scapegoat to say you need to do these things. And it's easy for people to say, you should be doing this, you need direct customers. But the spot market exists for a reason. It needs to be used. It doesn't matter if you have 100 direct customers. At some point, you're going to get your truck into a location where you do not have direct customer freight, and you will need to return to a place where your customer's freight is. And the spot market is going to be used by every single person that has a truck in America at some point or another, especially owner ops, especially, the 1 to 3 truck fleets, 1 to 5 truck fleets. They're using the spot market. So, I mean, I
They
think
make up,
definitely a
97%.
problem.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna go off of that. I mean, do you think right now a truck can survive on the spot market with zero direct shippers? Can
Yeah,
someone-
100%. I mean, I won't even use other examples. I'll just use my example. My truck last week was at like 2.38 RPM on like close to 7K gross, 100% spot market freight. So yes, it's 100% doable. Should you focus on only being on the spot market? Probably not. I mean, I just had some customer freight that didn't work out. You do need, but yeah, it's possible. Of course it's possible. And that's the thing. People are kidding themselves when they even try to ask that question, because there's carriers with 1,000 trucks in their fleet that are 100% spot market. And people might not want to hear that, but that's the reality. That's the truth. And I mean, the spot market's a game, and you win sometimes and you lose sometimes. But yeah, the spot market's there. And if you know what you're doing, you can take full advantage of it. It's possible to be profitable 100% spot freight right now today.
I like what you're saying because you're highlighting the fact that there is a lot of uncertainty of the market, right? This market is highly dynamic. So think any lane that you, and a very, I will say, and a good example of this is some dispatchers or some carriers, they run the same lane for a really long time. And then they realize afterwards that that lane is not profitable anymore because they don't have the information for doing that. They don't have the information to know, hey, this lane is not the best option that I have right now. So something is missing, and that part that is missing is information, because it's a fragmented market. So you need to have the information to actually get to know better deals.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree that, the answer to the question, can you survive on the spot market? Yes, you can. But the caveat to that is that you have to know what you're doing, because in this market, if you're a little underexperienced, if you haven't been dispatching a long time, it's very, very cutthroat. Like, this is a game of seconds. This is a game of, you have to know exactly what's going to happen before it happens. You have to have a plan in your head, 4 days worth of transit time. And in this market, if you're not fully equipped to understand all the information you're looking at, and you're not fully equipped to make the decisions in a split second, you will fail in the spot market. So, I mean, the information and just knowledge, like, you have to know what you're doing as a dispatcher to play the spot market 100%. There's no faking it till you make it anymore, for sure.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, the market is going to test you as a dispatcher right away.
Yeah, the market's going to test you I mean, I have friends texting me, been in the industry 4, 5, 6 years, telling me, I hate it, I'm quitting, I can't do it anymore. So the market's going to test you, and it's going to test you hard.
Yeah, all this random, because there are many random variables, factors that are affecting that operation. And the other thing is there are many people doing the same thing at the same time. So it's competitive, but also it's random. So how do you put all together, right, to make the best possible decision in that, I will say, messy environment?
Yeah, that's you're definitely right saying that there's a lot of people doing the same thing at the same time. Like, for example, I knew I had a hard truck today. I came into work, a little early, like an hour and a half early. I booked my truck before 6:30 Central Time, because I knew I was going to have huge issues. And if you come in a little bit early, then you're not going to have as much competition, because there's less people at work at that time. So there's definitely tips and tricks. And like you said, a lot of people are doing the same thing at the same time. Everyone's looking at the same lanes on the same load boards. And I think, like, you guys have the product. There needs to be a shift. There needs to be some type of a change when it comes to the load board approach. And I think there needs to be some type of training and tools that go into dispatch, because right now, every dispatcher just gets training for, a week or two, and then they just get sat in front of a load board with a phone, and they're told, have fun, like, figure it out, And I think if you're underexperienced, I think your guys' product will come into play, catching people up for sure. It's a great tool for that kind of stuff. I mean, that leads us into what's wrong with independent dispatchers. It's like, that's what's wrong with them. They're underexperienced. And if they're not underexperienced, then they also run into the issues that dispatch services are kind of looked down on in this type of market because of all the fraud.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that dispatch service shouldn't be a dirty word. I mean, I'm an in-house dispatcher. I work for my company, but there's a lot of qualified dispatch services that would offer an owner operator, let's say a guy with one truck. And let's say, he's a great driver and he just doesn't really understand the process of booking freight. That's the type of people that a dispatch service would greatly benefit, because they're going to offer, their insight and their knowledge on booking freight, and allow the owner operator to get back on the road doing what he knows how to do best, which is driving the truck. Now, there are owner ops who can self-dispatch. I'm not discrediting owner ops. I'm not saying being a dispatcher is rocket science. But I've dealt with personally many owner ops who cannot self-dispatch themselves. And if you ask me, dispatch services should not be a scary word as long as they're run by reputable people, and they're not double brokering freight. As long as they're booking every load on the right MC number, they're doing good business, correct business. And dispatch services do have a place in our industry for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there's always been a place for them. And I mean, for a long time, I think a lot of couples, you would have the guy out there driving or the woman out there driving or whoever, and then the spouse would be doing the dispatching. But I don't know, maybe dynamics have changed and a lot more drivers out there are single and they just need to have somebody doing it for them, So
I guess there's just less money flowing. Maybe there's a lot of breakups going on due to the money
it's hard times out there. But I think it's just the idea of the amount of time it takes to be on a load board and like doing all that sort of office work. If you are an owner op, you have to have either really good ability to stop at a truck stop and get on your cell phone or iPad and do it, or have somebody in an office doing it for you. So
yeah, no, I love that part of it, because a lot of people will bring up that owner operators don't need dispatchers, but I mean, I'm sitting 12 hours a day in front of a load board in my chair. I'm looking at everything. That guy or girl has to be in the truck driving the truck for those 11 hours, 10 hours of drive time a day. And I just don't see in this market how you can be doing both efficiently. So,
and the other thing is part of the situation we are observing right now, just low rates and overcapacity, and in fact, we have been observing a lot of new dispatchers getting in business, but they really have no idea how to do it. I think that's the consequences. Part of that is the consequence of the pandemic. Do you remember at the pandemic how much money this industry was making?
People just heard the stories. Get into logistics, you'll make $1 million. Doesn't matter what you're doing, and everyone came here.
The number of trucks that joined the market, it was crazy. Right? There are many of those trucks just sitting there because there is no room for them anymore. And the same happened with the dispatchers. That market creates a lot of attention for these new dispatchers that came to the business, and now they don't know what to do.
Yeah, that's the thing, because I was just talking with Dan about this on the last show, is that this is a fully different job. If you were good at this job in 2021, early 2022, that doesn't give you any ability to be good at it today, because it's not the same job. I mean, dispatchers used to sort on load boards by rate because, they had time to think about stuff, and they would sort by rate, Nowadays, you have to sort by age. If you're not the first person calling that load, you're not getting that load. I mean, I don't remember. I mean, it's a little different because I do power only, so I do sort by rate still. But if I dispatch dry van, you're not clicking that rate button. If you're on a dry van, you're clicking age, hoping you're the first person to call that next load that comes out. So, I mean, like you said, the people that got into it when it was fun and easy and good are failing very, very miserably right now. And we just need to see enough people fail to boost, we need to lose capacity. We need to shed as much capacity as possible. And unfortunately, we're catching some good people in the crosshairs. But for the most part, I would say people going out of business now are the ones that aren't doing good business. That's my opinion. That's obviously a generalization. But
this isn't a seasonal business. So now we are in the tough season for carriers. But when things change, it's going to be the opposite. We are going to have a lot of demand and then not enough capacity. And that happened. And I think that's going to keep happening in the US, just because how you're going to move the loads. You're going to improve the rail. You're going to build canals and ship it through ships. No, that's not going to happen. We are going to keep rolling in America because that's what we have today. That's the infrastructure we have today.
No, I agree with you. This cycle of greed and overcapacity and undercapacity and just the cycle of backstabbing on the spot market is just going to always happen, because it's just going to go like from one cycle to the next, where there's too many trucks and then we get paid nothing, and then there's like not enough trucks, and then we ask for $10 a mile again. And I think the human greed part will keep the cycle going in this same fashion. If you ask me for the foreseeable future, I mean, I don't see a world in which every carrier in America and every broker in America shake hands and say, we're gonna all eat from the same pie, you know. But that's what building relationships is. That's the network you have to establish of finding the brokers that you want to work with and finding the carriers that are reasonable. And I mean, I think that's where the industry benefits, is when you make, you know, those sacrifices where you go, you know what, sorry, you know, Mr. Broker, I need a little more on this run, but next run, you know, I'll help you out. And I think that give and take is where the magic happens. But unfortunately, it's not going to be like that for every load, for every situation. And the spot market is going to keep doing spot market things. I don't see that changing very quickly. So,
Great. So I have a question for you guys. When you are doing your dispatch process, you mentioned that you are one of those dispatchers that analyze a lot of information before making a decision about when I'm going to send my truck. What is exactly that information you're looking at?
yeah, I mean, for me, I basically run in this type of a situation where I know most of my trucks, most of them like to go home every weekend. So every Monday for me looks pretty similar. It'll be like the same guys in the same states. So I've set up, you know, a private network of brokers that I'll tell them, hey, this is where my trucks are going to be at, et cetera, et cetera. I'll try to book them privately. Now, once I can't book them privately, I head over to the spot market. And I said this, I think, on a different podcast, where my main thing is that I know the market because I'm playing in it, because I'm in it every single day. So the market from this week and last week is going to be marginally different. It's not going to change much, you know, week over week. And if you're playing in that same market and you never exit the market, you know, so I always have trucks between Chicago, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania. I'm in a lot of the same places all the time. So for me, I just go on my historic data. Like, I know last week I ran this lane for this price. So I know this week it's going to be roughly the same. So when I see the load posted $400 less than it was last week, I already know there's a good chance I'll probably get more money on it, or that's a broker that I probably don't want to do business with because they're posting it way too cheap, you know? So for me, I don't use a lot of tools or data. I just know the market. You know, I'm just in it. I'm just a part of it. I do my research the night before. I'll start looking at tomorrow's market. What does it look like? And then I'll start making numbers in my head. You know, this is my expected gross for tomorrow, and this is the expected lanes I would like to run. And that's kind of just my process, is just being in the market and just historic facts, you know, just data, my internal data, like data that I have from booking loads last week.
So somehow you actually have the info. So you're using the info because you know it. You are in connection with these brokers all the time. And then, so info, again, as we said before, is key. And what do you think is what made your operation successful in your particular case?
I mean, honestly, it really just comes down to, like I said, my knowledge of the market, my knowledge of the equipment types that I run. But that's the thing. Like, if you would ask me this question, what would you tell a new dispatcher getting into the business? I wouldn't be able to tell them much. I would just tell them, like, I don't know, man, like, just wait a couple months until you've been in the market. You know? Like, I don't have a very teachable method for how I dispatch trucks. You know, my method is basically, I've been doing it for so long that I know what the market is, and that's not a very teachable method. You can't just replicate that with new people. So, I mean, I think I kind of want to jump into it with you guys for cool. I want to jump into efRouting. I want to jump into what it is. So let's just start with that. What is efRouting?
That's a really good question. For us, defining efRouting it's kind of tricky, because for us, efRouting is an actual solution to improve profit per mile. As I was explaining before, the approach to improve profitability from any loader in general is about low visibility. I post more loads, and then by any chance, I'm going to find one that's going to match my preferences. What we do is different. Our approach is two things. First is route optimization, and second is informed decisions. Okay, and then that is inside something that we call the efRouting formula, which is a good planning, proper planning. So means you really have to know where you should go from the moment that you start operations to the moment that you end operations. That's the first thing. The second thing is the loads that you need in a single place. You don't really need all the loads of the market in one place. You need the ones that actually made a difference for you. And that's what we do. We put there enough loads, guaranteeing that you will find at least one that is going to match your preferences. Third, we have the technology that we have is able to provide insights about what are the best deals of the market at the moment, because the whole market is changing all the time. There are opportunities that show up real quick, and then you want to know about them. So you want to capitalize those. And finally, actionable information, which is, and a good example of that is when you go and check in a low bore in any other source, let's say on a $2 per mile rate. What are you going to do with that? You're going to negotiate with that? And then if I tell you, if the broker told you, hey, I'm going to pay you 210, you might say, well, you know what? I'm going to pass in this one. I'm going to get the next one because I'm looking for 250. But the truth is, maybe nobody have been paid 250 for that particular lane, right? You want to know that. That's going to improve the way that you do this negotiation with the broker. But if I tell you, look, we know that 25% of the people have been paid more than $2, but less than 250. Okay, so there are chances that actually I can get an load in that range. So rather than just giving you a data point that you might not use properly, we are going to give you insights about how to use that information. In this particular case, I'm going to tell you, hey, what?
I think that with that type of a feature, it's beneficial to newer type of dispatchers or even owner operators who are self-dispatching themselves, because the current model is we go on the load board, they click a box, the box tells them the 15-day average or 10-day average of this lane, and that number is never correct. Like, I mean, I don't know how they come up with that number. I actually do know exactly how they come up with it. But it's like you're never gonna get that rate. You know, it's just one number. And then what are you gonna do from there? You're gonna call the broker and say, well, this is the number I see, this is the number I need. You know, it doesn't work like that. You know, I think telling people, if you open a lane saying, hey, in the past 10 days, this lane's paid between $2 a mile and $2.50 a mile. Now you know that somewhere in there, you know, you're gonna find the number. And I think it gives you a lot more insight to be able to negotiate correctly, because then you can go and say, well, hey, I've seen that this lane has gone for 250 in the past. I've seen, you know, that it goes for a little less. Where are you at today with it? And it just kind of makes you sound like you know a lot more than, this is the rate that I see on this website, please give it to me. You
know? Exactly. Right. So we serve that a lot, that people go and try to negotiate with rates just with that data point, and then they don't get what they are expecting to get. So in efRouting, besides the informed decisions, actionable information, we have this technology that is able to show you real quick what are the good options. Let's say you have a truck right now in Atlanta, Georgia, and then you want to know what are the best options for you, what are the best lanes, considering, for example, what is the potential of profit, how competitive is the market in that particular place for those particular lanes, and then what's going to happen when you reach the destination that you pick. Because that's one of the things. When you get to that destination, if you are just considering the rate, you might end up in a place where it's hard to find the next connection, the next lane, right? So you really want to get to a place when you keep rolling, means find another good lane and keep rolling and rolling and rolling. So we have a tool that is able to do that, but also we have a tool that is able to provide you the information about complete routes that we can guarantee that have been from, but also that they have actual loads there that you can book, right? So at the end of the day, everything translated: more profit per mile, less deadhead, more happy drivers, because they can pick and have the freedom to go where they want to go knowing what is the range of money they are going to make with that. And finally, also because we are optimizing this operation, we are reducing dead miles, we are reducing the amount of emissions that we are producing. So it's about optimizing this operation, finding the good deals at the market right away, and having the loads that you need in a single place. You don't need to leave the platform because you will find what you need in the routing platform.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I did the demo with this. So basically, for everyone watching, you would say if you have a truck, let's say use Chicago as an example, you would put in that you have a truck in Chicago, and then their software is going to route your truck for the next 4 to 5 business days and show you the loads that are available and what your potential week will look like if you book the next 2 to 5 loads that the software shows you. And it'll show you your entire week and guide you to making a good route for 5 days rather than the current model most dispatchers use, which, I mean, honestly, I swear I've been around a lot of dispatchers. This is the model. Book the best load today and figure out tomorrow. And that's just absolutely not how you dispatch trucks. I mean, you need to dispatch trucks exactly how this software will make a plan for a week, make a plan for 5 days, 4 days, and show you if you do all of these loads, this is what your week will look like, rather than chasing money today, getting stuck tomorrow, and then you just destroy the driver's week. So,
and that's the goal with the route planner. But we realized that so many dispatchers were just doing that, just thinking about today and not tomorrow. And so we actually, I haven't showed you this yet, but we added a whole new feature, which Carlos was kind of talking about, where it's called the deal finder. So instead of thinking about the full route, it's just going to do a full.
Share your screen? Do you have it open? Do you want to share your screen?
I can.
You guys want to do a quick demo?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Sure, let's do that.
I mean, I think it's just easier for all. I mean, it's a new feature, so now I don't know what we're talking about. It's good for me.
Yeah.
Just to see it.
Share screen.
Just select your tab, and I'll throw it up there. It doesn't go live until I approve it.
No worries.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay,
there we go. Now we all know what we're talking about. Let's see the software, because I think this tech is kind of hard to explain without the visual of it.
Right. Yep. Okay, so what city?
Houston, try Houston, for example.
Okay, so let's just say you're in Houston and you don't even want to take the time to think about your whole week. Let's just say dry van. Okay, so then what is the best load out of Houston right now? You're going to go on and you're going to say, oh, well, it's the one that just popped up and I can get. Okay, well, maybe there's a little bit more to consider there. But really, you should be thinking about what are the best lanes out of Houston right now. What are the lanes that over the last couple days have been getting paid the most, actually getting paid the most, and which lanes there's a good amount of loads getting posted. So it's like you're going to have a better chance of a load popping up in that lane for you to book. And so what we've done here is just giving you that right away. So you're going to see best 3 lanes out of Houston for me today is Dallas, New Orleans, and Pharr, Texas. Okay, now show me those loads. And you're going to go straight to a load board view of all the loads that are available right now. And that's pulling from, we have our connection with TruckStop.
And other independent brokers, major brokers.
So right now, Houston and Dallas, we have 101 loads. And I mean, you see right here, these are 0-hour age TruckStop live loads.
Yeah, like I said, like they had just said, actually. So this load board isn't just one load board. This has multiple brokers and, TruckStop. There's a few avenues in one place. And I think that's a huge advantage in terms of speed, time, use for this.
And I should also mention, this is 101 loads. This is only a 50-mile radius. You go out to the other load boards and they automatically set you at 150. I mean, you're talking even more.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to highlight how awesome the idea of putting more than one load board in one spot is for a dispatcher, especially if you have multiple units that day. It just makes looking at more than one truck so much quicker and simpler.
Yeah. Still loading. Shoot.
And then talk about units training.
Hey, don't worry. I got you guys my village internet. You guys, I'm sucking up all your internet from the podcast.
I think we need to get Starlink here too. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, here it is.
It's because you're on stream and we're doing recordings. It's just killing your internet a bit.
Yeah. So then what we were talking about earlier with the range of possible rate per mile, we throw in real data right in front of you. So you see that when you're looking at the loads. So these numbers here for excellent, good, fair, low, that dollar per mile, that's based on, we're getting real data from carriers and from factoring companies about what lanes are actually paying. And so what you're seeing right here is, hey, I'm calling this broker for this lane, and I know from the last few days that the top 25% are getting paid between 230 and 270 per mile for this lane. So I can use that directly as I'm making that call.
And so your guys' data is coming directly from carriers, directly from brokers. This is like confirmed hauled data.
Yeah, and it's
Exactly.
not an average. I mean, this is the mean, median, or whatever.
Yeah.
The
So what
quartiles.
we do, quartiles. We divide information in 4 sections, right? So 25% of the people in this case, for example, they have been being paid less than $210.
So that's 25% of the real rate per miles for those rate cons.
Yeah, no, I just want to confirm that because that was a huge thing, a topic we had with the other load boards. Is the data confirmed hauled freight? And yes, it is. And that's what makes it valuable.
Yep.
Because I think a lot of people are worried with this data, especially owner operators are skeptical and they think that this is speculative data of posted freight. No, this is data of freight that has actually been put into a truck, onto a truck, and delivered by somebody. So these numbers are real numbers by real people. And I think that's a huge thing that scares away a lot of potential customers because they'll go in and say, well, I wasn't able to get this rate. So but
Exactly.
I mean, just because maybe you're not the best in negotiating, maybe it was a hollow, you never know what led up to those rates happening, but it's good to confirm that this is real data. This is delivered freight,
Exactly.
Yeah, and
in fact, when we don't have the real data, we just don't post it.
Yeah.
If you don't see the info there, we prefer to say we don't have it.
I would much rather a company tell me I don't have the data to give you an accurate number than to just put out a number that isn't real, So
Exactly.
yeah, so like for example, you'd go in and look at what's the rate data because in our indicators we have all this different stuff. And let's say Chicago to Dallas for the last 30 days.
Chicago to Dallas. Wait. You already clicked it. I don't know, man. 21, maybe 19 to 2100. What is it going for?
Okay.
So it'll be a per mile.
Come on. It's going to be per mile.
Yeah.
I don't even know how many miles is that, like 1,000, something like that.
So, well, I guess we do have a lot of data on this one. But sometimes you would see days where there's nothing because it's just there was a weekend where we didn't have loads through our system, yada yada. But it looks like $1.80 is a median. Top dollar is $2 per mile.
Yeah, what you see here is a whole behavior of the rate during.
Yeah, see, so I said between 19 and 21, and that gives us somewhere around 18, between 16 and 18. So even
I'll explain you this real quick. So when you see information like this, some people might be overwhelmed about how I'm going to use this, right? So you click here on the right, the system is going to help you. So it's teaching you how to use properly this information. For example, here is telling you, hey, so whatever number you see at the minimum here in any of these days, between the minimum and the quartile one, that's going to be a low ball. 25% of the people have been paid there, but you might get something better. So, and then when you click here, you see, okay, so in April 17, which is today, we have been observing transactions that have been between $1.68 to $1.99. At the end of the day, we are going to have the complete data and the full information, right? In fact, the day before, for example, the 16th, we have transactions between $0.6 to $1.93, right? Even if people don't want to just analyze the full thing.
Can you pull data by chance from 60 days? Is that possible?
30 days.
No, we have max at 30 days.
No, I mean, it doesn't matter because if you're doing this, you wouldn't need that. I just don't do a lot of dry van freight. I was just curious, about
what it looks
Yeah.
like.
But yeah, I mean, like if you see that, you see I don't do a lot of dry van freight, and I quoted between 19 and 21, and
Yeah.
this would have already told me that I'm very wrong. So,
The
mean,
trailers that you guys pick up, are they're usually reefer, or what's the?
I haul everything. We haul literally everything. Dry
Okay.
van, reefer, flatbed, sometimes frac tanks. I mean, we've hauled like animal feed. I've hauled specialized trailers that are built for like the most random things, man. So
Is the power only market big enough that you pretty much never have to? I saw you make that post about the repower. Like, would it be advantageous for you to start like getting a trailer rental for a week or two when you're in between power only loads? Or
yeah, it's only advantageous to me when there isn't power only direct freight. Then I'll look into getting a trailer. But honestly, I mean, the rates for dry van and how heavy most of the freight is, it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I'd rather tell my driver, hey man, there's no power only freight today, just have a day off rather than go haul some cheap heavy freight,
right.
But it is sometimes helpful to, especially if you're in like a good area. Like if my driver's out in like Chicago or something, I'll tell them, hey, you want to pick up a dry van for a day or two? We'll make some good money out of here just to go. Usually I'll pick up a trailer that needs to go northeast, and then I'll just send them Chicago to the northeast, make some money, and then drop the trailer and just power only my way back.
Huh. Yeah. That seems like it would be a good option.
Joe Devon?
Oh yeah. So I demoed this with you before, but this is just to go over it with the audience about the route planner. This is what you'd see, and I don't know if we went over the custom option, but even if you're not comfortable trusting the algorithm with this full plan for which lanes to connect.
Yeah. Okay. So show me the plan quick. So let's do the Cliff Notes version. There's a load board in this software. It connects a couple load boards together, which is amazing. I already love that.
Yeah.
Now the route planning thing. Let's see about this.
Okay. So let's just say I'm in Atlanta and I have a dry van trailer. I want to just have a complete plan for my truck for the next week.
Yeah.
So this just considered all of this recent historic
Okay. So
data.
each one is a full completed route. Each
Right,
like
a complete route.
result.
So this is all the different options, the different ways that you can run a complete route out of Atlanta and make the most money, essentially. And so you go to one and you just get to see a little bit more analysis. I'll hide that. So this is how much you'd make on 7 days just after fuel cost. Atlanta to Nashville, Nashville to Houston, Houston to, what is that, somewhere East Texas, and then back to Atlanta. And then
so then how do you, so this doesn't book the freight for you, obviously. So how would you go about, let's say you've decided, okay, this is the route I want my truck to take. How do you go about booking each load?
So right here, right in the like combination of lanes, you go to see loads, and it's going to do the same thing. It's going to bring up the load board view of that lane for all the loads that are available, and you'll just start booking. So, and the idea is that you don't have to, you can see this route and say you love it. You don't have to book everything right now. I mean, if you want to, obviously the more you book, the more is going to be sure. But the idea is that we're only building routes that are connecting lanes that are robust right now. Over the last few days, they've had so many loads going in those lanes that you could book Atlanta to Nashville right now, and then tomorrow there's going to be loads Nashville to Houston, because there has been recently a lot of loads. And so you can kind of play it as you go.
You can see the loads right away there. Yeah. But something that I want to explain is, so if you don't want to use a dispatch service for this, let's say you're an owner operator and you want to do it yourself, you have the info here for calling the broker and negotiating by yourself. But if you also need someone to dispatch for you, then you can connect through our platform to our internal dispatch service, or you can connect through the platform to our dispatchers that are partners. Then they do that job for you, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, that's beautiful. That's the thing. So this entire software, will give you access to load boards to book the freight internally. It will give you access to plan your routes internally. It will give you access as somebody, if you're not comfortable with dispatch or if you want to be dispatched, it'll give you the avenues internally to be connected to a dispatch party to help you even book the load for you. So
And
basically, with efRouting, you can, from start to finish, you can do everything within efRouting.
Yeah, and that is the bigger idea. We're trying to create a whole ecosystem. So we're bringing in, we're partnering with factoring companies, trying to offer a better deal to the owner operators if they need to have a factoring service. We're bringing
Which
in
most do.
insurance.
I mean, I know that's kind of, again, one of those topics where people want to say, "Oh, factoring's bad." Man,
Yep.
every carrier is using factoring. There's no way to survive for newer owner operators. Like in the beginning, you need to use factoring. That's just what it is. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, but I think the thing that has been hard is that you feel, because of the contracts, you feel like kind of locked in. And so when you go to some of these load boards where they offer their factoring service and then you're locked in for months or longer, then you kind of get that feeling that you're locked into that load board. And then there's that trouble there. So what we're doing is not partnering with one factoring company and saying, okay, you're going to come to efRouting and get locked into the contract with us. No, we're just trying to create this ecosystem where you just go to efRouting and get everything you need. So you'll find.
So talk to me costs, because I know drivers and companies and whoever's going to be interested in any type of freight tech, they want to know what is it going to cost me to get into efRouting.
Yeah. Okay, I'll tell you about that a little bit. So right now we offer the basic platform is $100 per month. What you have access there is all the information that we have here, routes, best connections, etc. But you have an unlimited amount of loads that you can see. If you pay
Sorry, how much was that? Sorry, it froze for a second there. What was the initial cost?
$100.
$100 is the base package. Like that's to get everything for the load boards. That's to see the routes.
No, so not the full access to the load board. You have a limited amount of loads that you can see with that license. But then you go for 120, you can see most of them. Yeah, and then finally we have a partnership with Truckstop where you pay $159 per month, and you're going to have access to both. You're going to have Truckstop Pro, full access to that platform, but also you're going to have full access with all the features to efRouting. So we have to say, in efRouting is made for driving, flatbed, and reefer. If you need to find information, for example, for a power only, then you will go to a Truckstop license that you already pay for, and then you find it there.
And I think that's the beautiful thing. So for anybody watching, if you do the top tier package for $159, you get Truckstop and efRouting together. Yeah. And I mean, the value that you get out of having both of those subscriptions for $159 is amazing, because everybody knows most of these load boards, you're already paying $150, $160, $180, $200 per seat for most load boards anyways. So, I mean, at $159 to get yourself some tech, to plan your routes, to have access to Truckstop standalone and within efRouting, I mean, the value is definitely there for the dollars spent.
It is. And one of the reasons, going back to what we were discussing at the early beginning about the double brokerage, when we decided to partner with Truckstop, we were really, what we consider different options, but Truckstop was the one that we observed has the lowest number of potential double brokerage. And we like that because we are in the carrier side. We care about the carrier and about the dispatcher. So we don't want them to face those problems. And I cannot say that you won't find any case of double brokerage there, but we really made an effort to reduce the number of double brokerage cases. And we know that Truckstop is doing the same. So that's one of the reasons why we partner with them.
I think, I already had this type of opinion kind of coming into it. I like the tech. I like you guys. I like the team behind it. I like the idea of paying for getting efRouting and Truckstop together. That's like almost a no-brainer. If I was doing, not power only, I would definitely be using it a lot more. But I've got into a lot of dry van stuff, so I'm thinking now even just to grab it and just kind of go through it. But
we're gonna have power only soon, also. That's our next. our next
That's the
step.
thing. And if you guys can make your power only and find a way to limit the amount of double posted loads, like to not have 5 of the same load, that would be like
Right.
super cool. Because I'm swimming in multi posts. But long story short, guys, I mean, efRouting is a great tool for, like they said, they're on the carriers team, they're on the dispatchers team. They want to see drivers putting money in their pocket. They want to see smart decisions being made in route planning. And I mean, it's not a bad thing to admit, hey, I'm struggling, with my route planning. I'm struggling in this market. And I think this is a great tool for the people out there that are struggling with planning, that are struggling, with dispatch. This would be a great place to come. And I mean, you get load board access with it too. So it's not even like you're paying to learn how to route your trucks or learn how to route yourself. You're still getting load board access. This is the stuff you're already paying for,
Exactly. Well, Alex, in fact, now that you mentioned that, we right now we have a program where we are helping carriers that are really struggling at this bad season, and some of them they have been considering about leaving the market. So for those people, we are offering the platform for free. In fact, for some of them, depending on the conditions, we offer the dispatch for free. We are not going to share anything for that. The only thing what we want to do is them to try it, love it, improve their profitability, and then later on they will be one of our clients. But right now, we made it for them. I mean, we help them, and then they later decide they want to. So
No,
if
I love it.
anyone here in your audience want to hear more about that, so if they choose a message through this podcast, then we can do it for them. It's gonna be for free.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are clearly, on the carrier side. This is a dark moment in history for logistics. I mean, people are struggling. It's every single day you see carriers closing the doors. And I think people just need to start admitting to themselves, I'm struggling, and just saying it out loud. Like, I need help with routing. I need help with dispatch. I need help to survive this market, because this is historically, it's difficult. This is not a market where you can come and just kind of, not be fully involved in it. This is a full-time, all day, every day, looking at everything, paying attention, building relationships. This is not a part-time job. Dispatch used to be a part-time job. It used to be, you come into the office in 2-3 hours, you book 7 trucks, and you go home and track them. Dispatch used to be part-time job, like literally. Now dispatch is like full-time all the time. If you're not looking at it, you're falling behind. And I think owner ops, especially, the small fleets, would benefit from this software greatly. And I mean, you guys just said, you want to see carriers succeed. You want to give them the tools to help them stay on the road. And I mean, I love to see a company that's on the carrier side, because it's very rare we see a tech company come in to help the carriers,
Yeah, and as you say before, Alex, we even with this back season, you still can make money. It's just
Yeah,
that
you
you
can
need
still
to
make
make the right
tons of money,
decisions.
man. Yeah, you can
Yeah,
you can be very profitable in this market if you know how to do the job. I mean, it's
yeah,
as simple as that, And
exactly.
I think the people that are struggling are the ones that think they know what they're doing and don't want to admit they don't know what they're doing. And a lot of those 2021 type of people that never experienced the slow market are failing in this market. And like, there's money there,
Yeah.
and it's all up to you to chase it and to find it and to get the tools to help you find it. And I think efRouting for carriers is a fantastic choice.
Well, one of the examples that I always feel proud about it is people that are here in Florida. Florida is well known for being a really tough place for trucking.
Yeah, it's like the
So
worst place in America for trucking.
That's why
yeah,
we came here.
exactly.
It's good
And
for a
then
vacation. It's not good for trucking.
exactly. So we have some clients that they say, prove me that I can make money in Florida. And then we have complete routes that operate in Florida. They leave Florida, come back, do some things in Florida, and they make money. And they're very happy with that because they see, wow, I thought that would be impossible. But no, actually, that is information there that prove that in
Hey,
fact you
I
can make the
mean,
money.
if you try hard enough at anything, you'll find money, man. Especially in trucking. If you guys can get money to a driver that lives in Florida, I mean, that's proof. That's proof of
Yeah.
concept right there. So,
Exactly. Yeah. Well, we are very
I mean,
happy to help.
we're kind of wrapping it up here. Is there anything else you guys want to kind of explain about efRouting? Is there anything you feel has been missed? I mean, I feel like we've done a pretty good job explaining it to the audience.
I think the last thing that I want to say is people will find that in year routing there are different tools. Things are made a little bit different as the way they are used to. But one of our missions here is also to help people and teach people how to use properly this information and how to properly use these tools. So anyone that is using the platform will have training for free. And they will see after one session, you will get it right away. You will see what's different. You will learn more about this market. You will know how to make better decisions, take advantage of this, and roll and run your operation very profitable.
Yeah, I mean, I even see, honestly, I see a use case for your guys' software in big companies where they just sign up and, this is part of training. They give this software to people that are new in logistics and that do need training. And I feel this has a good use case for that. I'm starting to, the wheels are turning in my head where it's like, man, if I sat a dispatcher down that was never a dispatcher in front of this, and I told him, hey, this is going to assist you in making decisions until you get to the point where you don't need the help anymore, which could take, I mean, it could take between 6 months and 6 years, depends who's sitting, trying to learn the job. But I definitely see, this is a training tool also, man.
Yeah, that's the exciting thing about it is that there's just so many ways we can go to help. And using this tool is, I mean, the opportunities are endless. So it's really exciting.
No, thanks for coming on, guys. I'm definitely gonna stay a part of this journey. Keep me, involved. Keep me posted with new stuff, and I hope we can get this out to as many carriers or owner ops or dispatchers. And I hope we can start to help carriers understand why they should be doing things, differently. So.
Yeah. Well, Alex, thank you so much for bringing us onto the podcast. I mean,
hey,
it's
no
been
problem.
cool to see.
Man. Thank you guys for making time. Thanks for coming. Hopefully you enjoy your beautiful sunny day because it's freezing where I am now.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that.
Hey, thanks to efRouting. Thanks to Carlos and Gino. Have a good day, guys.
Peace
Have
out.
a good day.
That's been episode 7. Some nice carrier tech. I love efRouting. I love the idea of a company that's here to help carriers. And I mean, I can't say enough good things about it. If you need a demo, hit up Carlos, hit up Gino, and I'm going to be following them closely for the next foreseeable future.